Today we are going to talk about why people cannot get what they want. Why is it that I have this desire for something? I want to go after it, but I just can't seem to get it. So first of all, let's consider that there are parts of you that don't want that thing that you say that you consciously want. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that part of us. What is the part of us that thinks or fears that we're going to lose something or someone by going after whatever it is that we say we want consciously? So that's the first question that we should be asking ourselves. What am I afraid I'm going to lose? What could I actually lose or stand to lose if I go after this thing, or if I am fully authentic in expressing this thing? Right? So the number one reason why people don't create change in their own life is because of what they are afraid they will lose. Now it's interesting because when we go in and look at this part that is directly opposing whatever it is we say we want, what we find is that sometimes that part actually has the exact same need underneath whatever it is that we say that we're going after or that we want. Sometimes it's very different needs. And so we have to look and see, how can I integrate both of these needs? How can I maybe even start to break down some of the distortions that I might have picked up around either overgeneralizing that things belong together that don't necessarily belong together, or maybe I'm not seeing that things could coexist together because I've never actually seen it play out that way before. So I want to give you an example. There's probably many examples that I could give, but this is one. So I was working with a client who every part of them said, I really want to create this successful business. And so I'm like, let's go deeper. And by creating a successful business where you're an artist and people are seeing your art and they're receiving you, what do you get from that? And as we followed it deeper and deeper, what we got to was connection. Okay, so it's not about the money for this part of them. It's literally about connection. But connection with people where they actually belong. On the other side, there was a part of her that knew that if she went after this success and did start to have financial independence, that what that meant was that she was going to, that was the last connection that she had with her family. There was no emotional support. There was no nothing there. The only thing really left that connected her with her family was that financial tie. And so this part of her knows that if we really actually become successful, we can support ourselves, we're going to lose the family. Now, to the parts of this person who are just the conscious parts, right, that want what they want, they could in some ways care less. It's like, my life's going to be so much better. This is going to be amazing. Are you kidding me? I'm going to be away from all of that abuse, all of that horrible stuff. And now I can really branch out and be on my own fully. But that's kind of the nature of fragmentation and the importance of going, well, wait a minute. Why is it that I haven't been able to fully actualize this? What's really going on? What are the real needs that are happening behind the parts that don't want it? So in this case, it was, well, I'm terrified that if you do that, I know that we're going to completely lose all connection with the family. I want you to imagine that as a child part of you. Now, it's obviously going to be different depending on what the situation is for you, but what is it that you stand to lose? And be really honest with yourself and go all the way to the depths of that question. And then it's going to be so different depending on what we find. But we might, from aware ego, start to notice the distortions that are present in that. So if a part of us wants connection, right, but it's actually connected to a fantasy of something, or it's connected to something that's not really ever going to get their needs met, it might actually be a relief to introduce the idea that we can actually get that connection, and not just through success, but through other ways where we are actually getting that healthy support, instead of being re-traumatized, right, by continuing to look in the direction of something and not getting it met. And so, because that part has been so focused on out here or whatever it is that we're not giving it, that we're not even allowing to be okay, sometimes we just don't even notice that part of us is actually there and what it's really after, so that we can fully caretake it and bring it into reality, whatever that reality is, but also understand the very deep need that's real and not going to go away. We actually have to meet that. And sometimes we find that it's symbiotic, that actually, wait, the success could bring us, like in this example, connection. But, then we don't want it to be connection just for the sake of the fact that we're successful. But we have to look at also other negative associations, because a lot of times these things are layered. It's not just like one thing. But I think, if I were just to come on here, which I am, and to give one little piece of why does it feel like I can't get what I want, to look at the parts of you that directly oppose that. What is it that they are thinking is going to happen? And how can you start to consciously meet the real needs of that part and strip away some of the distortions that might be thinking I'm getting this need met by doing this thing, but actually it's maybe never going to happen, or maybe there's a part of us has to come to reality. And sometimes it doesn't need to come to reality, right? Sometimes it just needs that empathy and understanding. Sorry. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say about getting what we want and what we need and the opposing parts of us, because honestly, unless somebody is like holding a gun to your head or there's a real hostage situation, the only reason that it's not happening yet is because something in you says that is a bad fucking idea, and here is why. So does that part have a point? We have to be open to all possibilities and be curious when we're exploring these aspects of ourselves. And be willing to even adapt and say, maybe this part of me is saying, this is not a good idea because this is not us. This isn't who we are. So I'm actually trying to save you from going in the direction maybe of something that is a program or that somebody else is telling you should be doing. So we never want to assume, we never want to overly polarize into any one of these things, especially when that's typically what we tend to do, to value or honor one part of our personality over the other, instead of starting to move, because it takes more time to start to synthesize these things. But I love this analogy. It's like the people who are plowing over themselves right now and just like not getting into alignment before they do whatever it is that they're doing, they'll burn out. And it's the people who are really taking the time to make sure that, okay, I'm really on board with this, the ones who can really feel that are doing the work, you'll probably go a lot farther with that. You might not be as fast, but when other people burn out, you will have really taken your time to get these aspects of you on board. Taylor says, what if it's our parents or partner work cursing us, preventing it? LOL. I think about that with my parents. Wait, what do you mean? What if it's our parents? Partners were preventing it. Wait, can you, like, word cursing? Oh. As in, yeah, I'm slow to the draw today. Let me reread that. Like, to keep things from having it because they don't want to lose you. Oh, yeah. Yes. And people may not be aware of that, but if we can become aware of that, then we can make sure that we don't fall into the trap of succumbing to somebody else's manipulation because they're not actually feeling their true feelings about not wanting to lose us, so then they might manipulate us or do things to try to hold on to us. Yeah. And not taking responsibility for their emotions and just, I mean, maybe even being clear that that's what's happening. Like, point them back in a really compassionate way. Maybe, it depends on the person and what their capacity is, but to maybe say, it seems like it's really hard for you right now, and do you notice that you're afraid of losing me? Or do you notice any feelings in your body that you're afraid of losing me right now? Do you feel any fear about the loss of me? Just point them back towards themselves and see if that's something that's possible. They might go, oh, like, yeah, like, oh, I noticed that you really seem like you want to protect and hold on to me. The more that we can help people kind of expose the vulnerability that's underneath the behavior, whether it's somebody trying to, she said it literally feels like an oppression. Yeah. So, if possible, point people back to their own vulnerability. And if they're not willing to acknowledge that, then, you don't have to be oppressed by that person. You can have your own boundaries, but also kindly pointing out, I'm feeling oppressed by this, and I'm wondering if it's because you're afraid of losing me. And if there's anything that you want to share with me about that, I would really love to hear your feelings, because I really care about how you feel. Something like that. Of course, again, it depends on the person, but that feels right for your situation. All right, guys, that's all for today. Just a quick little live. Thank you all for being here. And I will see you. Great question, by the way. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. And I'll see you guys later.